there everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another writing advice video. Today I'm going to be telling you guys all about all of the things that I have learned from querying my book, codename Cute Gay Rom-Com Novel, and I'm going to be giving you some tips and tricks from these things that I have learned from querying my book. But first, I'm in front of a bookshelf! What the hell? Actually, two bookshelves. Count them. 1, 2. I'm so excited. They are literally the only things in this room right now, so if there's still a little bit of an echo, I apologize. I left some boxes in here, some things that I was hoping would kind of absorb the sound, but if it's still a little echoey, my bad. But I couldn't resist. Now that I have the bookshelves, I could not resist finally filming in my office. Again, the bookshelves are literally the only thing in here right now, but it's still so exciting. It's all coming together. I would like to eventually add some twinkle lights to my bookshelves, you know, to make them look all glorious and glowy and whatnot, but until then I still think they look magnificent. And I just feel so much more professional filming in front of bookshelves. Finally, it's been so long since I filmed in front of bookshelves. The last time I filmed in front of bookshelves was way back in front of that black bookshelf that, I mean, it looked nice, but I had to sit on a child's chair to be able to film in front of it because it was a very short bookshelf and I was always so uncomfortable. Sometimes I sat on the floor in front of it, which was even worse. But now I'm on a nice soft cushy ottoman and the bookshelves are all white and beautiful and I feel fulfilled. So yeah, sorry. Okay, I promise that's all I'm gonna geek out about these bookshelves. Now, back to the writing advice. So like I said, today I'm going to be telling you guys all of the things I've learned from querying Cute Gay Rom-Com Novel. I have not gotten an agent yet, so this is not one of those I've gotten an agent and this is what I learned from the process type of videos. Instead, it's more of a I made some mistakes in my querying process and I don't want you to make the same mistakes, so I'm gonna warn you. They weren't horrible mistakes, they weren't like life-altering or anything that would actually keep me from getting an agent, but it was some things that it caused me undue stress in the process that is already, as those of you also in the query trenches know, is already pretty damn stressful. So yeah, with all of that said, let's get into the video. The first thing I learned, my first tip for you guys, is to query for the book you wrote first and foremost. Seriously. I made the mistake of trying to query for every book I'd ever want to write. So instead of seeking out agents who were looking for books specifically like mine, you know, contemporary romance, LGBTQ, I was seeking out agents who represented everything I might ever want to write. Young adult, middle grade, adult, sci-fi, fantasy, contemporary, mystery. I was looking for all of it. And there are agents who do that, and there are some good agents who do that. But in the long run, those agents that I queried, absolutely none of them requested my partial or my full. They didn't request any additional material from me. Or no, you know what? I take that back. I think one did. One single agent from that huge group. It was a huge batch of agents that I queried. It was like 20 to 30 agents. One requested more material from me. And she was a great agent. I was so excited about it. Unfortunately, she didn't end up offering me representation, but it was an honor to even be considered. But yeah, it was only when I finally ran out of those kinds of agents to query and then I started going into my pool of agents that maybe didn't represent everything I wanted them to represent, but they were looking for books like mine. That was when I started getting requests, and like a decent amount of requests too, not like a mind-blowing amount. You know, there's some people who are like, I just got 12 full requests in a day. Like, it wasn't that level, but it was good. I'm happy with it still to this day. I'm happy with the response that I got once I started querying the right agents for my book. But like me, you might be wondering, well, Layton, why would I query agents who don't eventually want to represent the types of books that I want to eventually write? Okay, but I have answers for you. Because the thing is, what is on an agent's wish list doesn't necessarily encompass everything that they're willing to represent. When you become an agent's client, at that point, they are going to be more willing to represent whatever you have written. Now, that's not always the case. They're not always going to, but that's what the call is for. That's what you should be sussing out when they're offering you representation. You need to say, okay, but I also plan on writing in these categories, in these genres. If I did that, if I wrote in those categories and genres, would you still represent me? Would you still read the books, help me edit them or work through them? Would you still submit them to publishers, or would I be on my own? Would I have to find a new agent? And sometimes if it's an agent who only represents like children's books, like middle grade, young adult, and then you want to write adult, they might say, yeah, like you can query a new agent for specifically your adult books. That's a thing. But that's all stuff you need to figure out with the agent. But I wouldn't count them out just because their wish list or their bio on the agency website or whatever doesn't strictly say that they are looking for certain categories or genres. So in summary, my general thoughts are that you should at least query them. If they offer you representation, then that's when you ask them those kinds of questions. You figure out if they're the right agent for you or not. And then if they're not, if they're like, I will not represent adult sci-fi and I'm not gonna let you go to anybody else who will represent adult sci-fi, then you just know I'm not gonna sign with this agent, and that's that. The next thing I learned, my second tip for you guys, is that Query Tracker is your best friend. For those of you who don't know, querytracker.net is a wonderful website that is built specifically for querying authors or writers or whatever you want to call yourself. And it's so great. It has pretty much every agent at pretty much every agency on it. And it has these great filters that you can use. So if you are writing young adult fiction like myself, you go to the genres filter, you go down to young adult, and then it only shows you agents who represent young adult. And from there you can compile a list of agents to look into, to query. And that's how I used it for Cute Gay Rom-Com Novel, and that's how I'm using it right now to compile a list for Clone Novel. Side note, you might be wondering why I'm preparing to query a second book, and it's just I'm running out of my agents on my list for Cute Gay Rom-Com Novels, so if none of them offer me rep, then gotta move on, you know? It's just how it works, unfortunately. But anyway, so Query Tracker is really great for compiling a list of agents to research and query. It's also great for when you are actively querying to track your queries, hence the name Query Tracker. I think you do have to buy a membership to Query Tracker. I think it's $10 a year maybe. And then you actually get access to this timeline, which is really great. I mean, it's $10. If you have $10, I would 100% recommend getting the membership so you can access the timeline, because it's super great. You can see, obviously not every person who's querying this agent, because they're not all using Query Tracker, but a majority are. And so you can see on Query Tracker where you're kind of at in the list of queries that this agent needs to get to. So you can kind of see as they're getting closer to you, you can kind of start to see when you're probably going to be getting a response from that agent. If the agent asks you for a partial or a full, you can see how long it takes them with other writers to get back to them on their partials and fulls, so you can kind of give yourself a timeline to know when you should be getting a response. It's great. It really, for me at least, cuts down on the anxiety of just not knowing. You're like, did they get it? Are they getting close? When should I be hearing back from them? You have some of those answers. However, my warning about Query Tracker is that I would only use it for those two instances that I just listed, for compiling a list of agents and for tracking your queries once you are querying. Because it does have other information about the agents that you can access. Like, it tells you the genres that they represent. It has lists of their clients. But I have found that those resources, they're not very useful. The genre lists are sometimes incorrect or outdated, and also young adult fiction is listed as a genre. So you don't know what genres in YA that agent represents. So you really need to make sure that you're going to the agent's website or their manuscript wish list page and finding out what exact genres in the young adult age category they represent, because it's not always the same as the extra genres that are listed on Query Tracker. Those are usually for adult fiction, like science fiction, fantasy. They mean adult science fiction and fantasy. So that kind of sucks. It's a little bit annoying, especially since young adult is not a genre, it is an age category, but whatever. And then for the client list, sometimes a certain author is listed on multiple agents' client lists, and it's because the agent used to represent that author, but then the author switched agents, but then it doesn't tell you which of that author's projects this agent actually got a deal for, if any. So if it's like a super famous author, you're like, oh my god, this agent represents so-and-so, but they only represented them for like a year and they weren't able to sell anything of that author, so the author switched over to a different agent who sold all of their things. You're not gonna know that. You're just gonna see that the agent represented that person. You're gonna be like, oh, cool, you know? So definitely don't rely on those lists for anything other than, I mean, take a quick glance, but really go to the agency's website, look at the agent's wish list, look and see what books the specific agency boasts about having published from these specific authors. Just really do your due diligence. Don't rely too heavily on Query Tracker for your overall agent research. The next thing I learned, unfortunately this one I learned a little too late, but I know now for the future. My third tip for you guys is that absolute right is also your best friend. And specifically on the Absolute Right website, what I really like are the forums that are called the Absolute Right Water Cooler, where writers share their knowledge and experience about certain agents and agencies so that other writers can know if an agent or an agency is legit or not, if there's maybe some problems with the agent or agency. And this is something I really could have used in my research, because for QK Rom-Com Novel, I feel that there were a few schmagencies that I was looking at that I didn't realize were schmagencies. Luckily, I did not query any of them. I figured it out later. But now that I'm compiling my list for Clone Novel, if I do have to end up querying that book, I have been diligently checking the water cooler for these agencies that maybe are smaller or I haven't ever heard of them, to make sure that they're legit. Sometimes they are, surprisingly. Sometimes these small one-person agencies have an agent who's just like a titan in the industry and who sold like a ton of really great books, and I never would have known that. And I had marked them off of my list for QK Rom-Com Novel because I saw they were a one-person agency and I thought, oh, that's sketchy, but turns out it's not. Whereas there's some other agencies that are a little bit bigger and more legitimate looking, but then you go into the forums and they say, oh yeah, there was this scandal with the agency and this bit of drama over here, and so then you're like, oh, so I shouldn't query that agency. But again, I didn't do that for QK Rom-Com Novel, and it bit me in the ass one time because there was an agency that actually was a legitimate agency, but what I didn't know was that even though it was a legitimate agency, it had a bad reputation in the publishing industry because of the person who owned the agency. And so I ran into some trouble because I queried an agent at that agency, and that specific agent that I queried was fine. It was the woman who ran the agency that was the problem, but I queried this agent at this agency, and then that agent asked for my phone, and then I learned all of this stuff about the agency, and I was in full panic mode because I was like, what if the agent who I really like from this agency, what if she offers me representation? Do I want my name attached to this agency that has such a bad reputation, you know? Because that could affect me in my career. And it was just this whole anxiety that I didn't need and that I wouldn't have had to go through if I had looked at the water cooler sooner, but I didn't even know this website existed at this point. Because when I did eventually go to the Absolute Water Cooler and I looked up this agency, I saw all of this stuff that has always been out there about this agency, but that I just didn't know. And if I had done my research sooner, I wouldn't have even had to be in that predicament. Fortunately or unfortunately, that agent didn't end up offering me representation, obviously. But yeah, it was just a situation that I didn't even have to be in if I had just known to check the forums. So that's my advice to you. Check the forums. What I've been doing while I've been compiling my list for Clone Novel is that when I come across an agency that is small or that I haven't heard of or whose website, I don't know, it just kind of makes me go, I don't know how I feel about this agency. I go to Google, I type in Absolute Water Cooler and then the agency's name, and then immediately, like the first option that pops up is usually the forum on that agency, and I click on it and I scroll through, see if there's any red flags about this agency. If not, then I just kind of go with my gut and I add it to the list or not. Really, it just acts as an extra buffer to prevent me from getting in a situation like that again. Related to that tip, the next thing I learned, and my fourth tip for you guys, is to, in the words of Alexa Dunn, keep your finger on the pulse of the writing community. And in that vein, especially keep an eye out for agents or agencies that might have a bad reputation in the publishing industry. Because the way I found out about the bad reputation of this agency that I accidentally queried is from Twitter. It's because I was in the writing community. I follow a bunch of agents, and this one agent who I follow was liking and replying to this thread about this agency I had queried, and they were talking about these bad things that this agency has done, or the head agent at this agency has done, and stuff like that, and I was like, oh no! Oh no! And if I wasn't involved in the writing community, if I wasn't following these certain people on Twitter, I wouldn't have known about the bad reputation, and I'm glad I found out before anything happened. Not that anything happened, but you know, I'm glad I found out. So yeah, and I mean, you're here watching me on YouTube right now, so this is a great resource, especially like Alexa Dunn's channel. She is so in it, in the writing community. Like, she knows things. So I love watching her channel. I highly recommend it. I'm sure you've heard of her. If you haven't, I'll link to her channel in the description. Also, just on Twitter, following agents, following published writers, you know, maybe some that you like, that you look up to. Following the writing community hashtag is a great place to just find writing friends who then may keep you in the loop. Just basically, I guess, don't stay ignorant, because in this case, ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance means you might end up signing with a shady or a scammy or just bad reputation-ish agency, and you don't want to deal with that. I'm just telling you right now, you do not want to deal with that stress, my friends. The fifth thing I learned, the fifth tip I want to share with you guys, is that newer or smaller agents at reputable agencies are not something to turn your nose up at. Now, when I first started querying, and again, I didn't know as much as I do now about agents and agencies and everything, I was nervous about newer agents just because, you know, they were newer, and I was like, how will they know how to sell things? And aren't bigger agents at bigger agencies better because they are representing people like Stephenie Meyer or John Green? But here's the thing, they're not better. I'm not saying they're worse either, but there are definitely pros and cons to both bigger agents who have big clients and smaller agents who either don't have a lot of big clients or they're just starting out. For me personally, I'm starting to realize that maybe a smaller agent or a new agent is more of what I want, because the pros of smaller agents are that they don't have a ton of really big clients, which means if an agent has a ton of really big clients, they're going to be focusing on those clients. Those are their money makers, okay? And so they're not going to have as much time for you. They're not going to be as invested in your career. You're not going to have the same type of communication as you would with a smaller agent who doesn't have a bunch of big clients yet. In fact, you could end up being a smaller agent's big client, but very rarely are you going to end up being a larger agent's big client. And I like the idea of that. I like the idea of signing up with a newer agent, being able to have a lot of communication between us because they have more time, because they have a smaller list, to be somebody who that agent is able to put a lot of time and effort into, possibly being their first or one of their first big clients, that appeals to me personally. Now, it might not appeal to you, and that's fine. Everybody's different. You might want to go with the bigger agent. But I'm just telling you right now, if you didn't know, like I didn't know, smaller agents are not a bad thing. Now, the key here, though, is reputable agencies. You don't want to go to a small agent at an agency that just kind of popped up out of the blue one day. These agents don't have any contacts in the publishing industry at all. They just kind of woke up and went, you know what I want to do today? Be a literary agent. Like, you don't want that. You want somebody who is studying under somebody who knows what they're doing. But yeah, personally for me, if I end up having to move on to querying clone novel, smaller agents are going to be at the top of my list this time around. Especially, one more thing, because they're also going to be looking to grow their list more than bigger agents. You know, bigger agents are going to be super picky about what they take on because they already have these big clients, they already have a full schedule, they're not really looking as much to fill any gaps, whereas newer agents, they don't have a full list. They might not have a list at all depending on when they started agenting, so you could be their first client. And newer agents will probably have more time to be editorial, so if your book isn't as polished as some other books are out there, you might have a better chance of getting picked up by one of these newer agents because they have more time on their hands to be more editorial to help you polish up your book. Just another thought. And then finally, the sixth thing I learned, the sixth tip I have for you guys, is to consider what you want your brand to be before you start querying. This is something that I definitely, absolutely did not think about when I started querying. So pretty much what I mean by this is that your debut novel sets the tone for at least the beginning of your writing career. If you publish a contemporary romance novel, then publishers are going to expect, at least for a little while, that that is what you're going to be publishing. Like, if you get a 2 or 3 book deal from a publishing house, they're going to be expecting you to be publishing in the same genre for all 3 books. They're not gonna be like, okay, that one can be contemporary romance, and then that one's sci-fi, and then that one's a mystery. Like, that's not how that's gonna work. And this is for a reason. I don't disagree with the reason. The reason is so that you can build a readership. It makes sense. It's just not something that I really thought about before I started querying. And it's not necessarily a problem, because if I do get cute gay rom-com novel published, I have 2 other spin-off / companion novels for that book that I have planned, kind of like Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda and then Leon Offbeat, how they're related. It's like a sequel, but following a different character. I have that planned out, so I could write more books in the contemporary romance genre, and I would be fine. But I will say I have more fun writing books like cloned genre novels that have main characters who are kind of morally gray, who, you know, aren't the best of people. That's kind of the sandbox I have more fun playing in. So I guess I'm just kind of on the fence with what I want my brand to be. I mean, obviously, if the agent who has my full right now offers me rep and then gets cute gay rom-com novel published, hell yeah, I'm not gonna second guess that shit. I will take it and run with it. I do not look gift horses in the mouth, okay? But I guess what I'm really not sure of is if I should finish out my query list for cute gay rom-com novel, or if I should just cut it short and move on to focusing my full attention on preparing to query clone novel. I'm not sure. I'm on the fence. I'm a little wishy-washy here. But that's the thing, that's my tip. Don't be like me. Settle on what you want your brand to be from the get-go. If you write mainly science fiction, that's where your heart lies. You say, I adore science fiction, or maybe a little bit of a combination of science fiction fantasy that kind of has the same vibe. If you're like, that's what I'm passionate about, but just out of the blue randomly one day I wrote this contemporary romance, I would not recommend you query that contemporary romance, because then you're gonna have to write more of them. So if your heart lies with science fiction fantasy and you wrote this one contemporary romance novel and you don't have any other ideas for contemporary romance, you don't really want to write any more contemporary romance, you're not going to want to query that book. So just keep that in mind. But also know that if you choose something for your brand, you're not going to be stuck writing it forever. Once you become an established writer with an established reader base that will follow you to your different projects, then you can try out new things. They will totally let you do that. For example, again, Alexa Dunn, she started out writing sci-fi retellings of classic novels, and now she's moved on to a thriller. So it's not like you're stuck there forever. But you gotta think it through logically. You've got to realize that this is your career, so you've got to be strategic in what you're writing and everything. And you know, for me too, it's like, how do I logically branch off from contemporary romance to be able to write more of the books that I'm interested in writing versus how will I branch off from clone novel? It feels like I could branch off from clone novel a little bit easier than it would be to branch off from contemporary romance, but at the same time, I know I could do it. That's why I'm not super freaked about the idea of debuting with cute gay rom-com novel. But definitely I think clone novel would be easier. So I guess that's kind of why I'm leaning toward clone novel, but also, again, if tomorrow the agent who has my full is like, I want to represent you, I'm not gonna be like, no. I'm gonna be like, hell yeah, I'll make this work. I'll make it work. But again, just don't be like me. Plan ahead. Know what you're getting yourself into. And yeah, so those are all of the things that I have learned from my query experience so far. Hopefully these little tips and tricks will help you to have a smoother querying experience than I did. I also, a while ago when I first started querying, made a video all about how to query, so if you want to check that out, it is linked up there in the cards. Though I will say I may or may not, I honestly don't remember, but I may or may not have said some things in that video that possibly contradict what I'm saying in this video. Just know this video is my current stance on those things. So if something in that video doesn't match up with what I just said, it's because obviously I've learned from the experience of actually querying now. But I mean, that's life, right? You go into certain things with certain expectations and you come out the other side going, well, that wasn't at all what I thought it was gonna be. And I think that pretty accurately represents my entire querying experience so far. Not at all what I thought it was going to be, but not necessarily in a bad way. So anyway, hopefully you liked this video. Hopefully you got something out of it. If you did, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Also, a friendly reminder, I do have a Patreon. It has one single tier, the $1 or more tier, where you got a lot of really cool perks just for donating $1 a month. So if you're interested in checking that out, link is in the description down below. And finally, I hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!